It's Hardtail week!
And hardtails can still outshine full suspension bikes in certain areas.
So here are top skills for your hardtail.
Pump tracks are where hardtails are really fast. You don't lose any of that energy pumping into the suspension. So technique wise, think about standing on a set of bathroom scales. How do you make yourself heavier? You have to swing your hips down and then push through your feet. And it actually feels really similar to that when you're on the bike. So hips, then feet, pressure through the pedals and into the ground. And the next thing that's really important is the timing. So another analogy I think works really well with pumping is, remember when you were a kid, stood up on the swing in the park, if you stand there and do nothing, nothing happens. But if you pump your legs at the bottom of the swing, that's how you gain momentum. So think about that for timing on a pump. You're trying to pump your legs into the ground on that transition of down to flat. And if you want super speed for this, think about coming right over the back wheel. You've got more space and just squashing that back wheel into that transition as hard as you can. Another place where hardtails really shine is on jumps. You can use that extra efficient pump to send you really high in the air. They're also really flickable when you've got them in the air. So think about trying to pump really hard into that transition like you did on the way down for speed. Now think about doing it on the way up, so flat to up transition. And for extra height, pump and then stand really strong, so you're almost forcing the bike into the lip, and then it's going to throw you nice and high where it wants to. That works especially well on steep takeoffs, but make sure you try and jump the jump normally before you think about going extra high on it.
Since the hardtail has got no rear suspension, you're actually going to find that you're going to get bounced around a lot more on the trail. That back end is going to be swinging from side to side. You're not just going to have that same stability that you might be used to if you also have a full suspension bike. So how are you going to get a little bit smooth in the trail, carry your flow, carry your speed, and come into sections a little bit quicker? Well, if we take this section exact here, for example, then up there you could get your braking done early, get off the brakes as you come into the turn, and you could start looking for something like a bit of a smoother line. Maybe you think about going slightly higher out of the turn so you can set up into the next section, carry your speed, carry your flow, and ultimately you're going to get a faster, smoother, and more comfortable ride. Braking is generally quite a lot harder on a hardtail. So you might want to think about your braking points, where you can brake on the trail, where the smoother sections are, where that back wheel is going to dig in, you're going to have loads of grip. If you're doing it through bumps, it's just going to rock you from side to side, you're not going to slow down, and you could end up going to the next section out of control. And you want to be in control. Hardtails, in my eyes, are definitely faster at climbing than a full suspension bike. No suspension means no bob. It's lighter and it's stiffer, giving you faster and easier acceleration. And once you start to get comfortable and confident at climbing, you actually start to pump the trail on the way up. And that is almost like free speed. And you'll be going faster than ever. This section of roots right here might not look like very much, and they're really not that much of a challenge. However, if I was on my full suspension bike, I'd cruise straight over them. I wouldn't even think about it. On the hardtail, without that dampening of the rear suspension, just allowing you to really just float over it, carrying your speed and be super smooth, well, how on earth are you going to go about tackling these on a hardtail? Well, it's all about using your heels. So if you've got them totally flat-footed, your weight's going to be in quite a central position. You're going to have a little bit over the front and a little bit over the rear. However, if you start using your heels and flexing them backwards so your toes are actually pointing up, then what that's going to allow you to do is to shift your weight that little bit further back. You're going to get more grip in the back wheel, you're going to get more stability, and you're going to be able to roll forward on the trail that bit quicker, in control, and be able to tackle the next section. Something that you see a lot of riders doing when they're going off drop-offs, be it small or big, and when they send them into GMBN, they're not actually using their legs. So on a hardtail, this is really important. You want to use those legs coming off this drop, for example. If I just launch it and just flat land I've got quite a stiff upper body. Without having any suspension, the bike's just going to rebound, all my weight's going to go onto the front, and I could end up just getting a little bit off balance and out of control. So how are you going to counteract and correct this? Well, what you want to think about is just using a little squat, just making your legs light, weight over the rear, and using that point that I just talked about in the previous clip, using your heels, making sure that you've got them rotated backwards, so when you land, your weight is over the rear wheel and you can go straight on forwards into the next section.
So that is our hardtail skills video. If you want to see more videos from Hardtail Week, click down there for the full playlist. Not Shark Week, it's Hardtail Week.
And if you want to know an essential skill about how to manual and pump through rollers, then click just down there for how to do that with Brendan Fairclough. Click on this globe, which is somewhere behind me, to subscribe, and you get a great video every single day of the week.
Give us a thumbs up if you like Hardtail Week.
Shark Week.